Hi, good afternoon all, and good morning to the people in the US, and good evening to the people who are following this from Asia. My name is Koen Huisman. I lead our manufacturing team based in the Netherlands, and really glad to talk to you about the factory of the future. And I'm very happy with the panel that I have for this. So first of all, very glad that Ian Russo is joining us as the COO of Butterchimie. And Butterchimie is the world's #1 producer of adiponitrile. I never know exactly how to pronounce it. And aside from that, they are a major manufacturer of polymer intermediates for nylon. Also in this room is Nathalie Garin. Nathalie is my colleague from France who is leading the French manufacturing team. And Jean-Louis is a director in our team, working a lot with our manufacturing clients. Maybe it's good to introduce yourself first. Ian, can I give you the word?
Of course. Good afternoon for everybody. Ian Russo. I'm holding MBA and in various business sectors, active since 30 years. And now I'm CEO of Butterchimie. We are chemical in the chemical industry, the heavy industry. Nathalie, may I pass to you?
Yes. Hello. I'm very glad to be with you today. So my name is Nathalie Guérin, and yes, I am leading for the manufacturing part for many kind of segments for many years, both for the chemical parts, the discrete manufacturing part also, and life science also. And yes, the event of today is plenty of sense due to the big turn that we are facing up due to the pandemic, now the geopolitical crisis, and so on. And we can see that this acceleration of the VUCA effect, we may say, providing us strong challenges to deal with. So I'm very glad to be with you.
Hi everyone, I'm Jean-Louis Reynaud. I'm a director of consulting and services. I work in Nathalie's team and I'm more specialized in the chemical industry. And I'm very happy to work with Ion on a regular basis on some assignments as well. So glad to see you, Ion, and everyone.
Very good. So I'm looking forward to a nice discussion. But I was also asked to briefly first introduce the topic a bit from my own perspective, having worked in many factories. So I have a background where I led factories in the past for Philips, which were electronics, assembly factories basically. After that, I spent a long time in consulting, doing a lot of work in chemicals, in life sciences, but also for companies like ASML in the high-tech assembly industry. And all of these factories are basically different. But one thing they have in common. In all of these factories, technology plays a major role. And I don't have to explain anybody in the audience, I think, the fact that we're in the fourth or fifth industrial revolution at this moment, which is caused by new technology enabling new things in manufacturing and enabling manufacturers to take an advantage of these new technologies. And with these new technologies, we try to make environments more efficient. In the batch industry, people want to go for the best batch or the golden batch. They want to have increased OEE from their investments, so operational equipment effectiveness and efficiency, and also we are also trying to make environments safe. I think that's a big theme in every factory because factories are dangerous places to be by itself, and we want to make these factories safer. With what is now happening with the current technologies that are coming on the market or are already on the market, is that this changes the manufacturing landscape, but that isn't happening overnight. And we have been talking to a lot of our customers, and in the previous discussion, Helena and Annette, they already explained that we've been talking to almost 1,500 people again this year. And what we get from these discussions is that technologies are shifting and there are new priorities coming up, but also that there are challenges working in older environments. So the investment horizon of a chemical factory like the one that Ian is is working on, yeah, that is an investment horizon of 50 years. Some installations 20 years, but a very long investment horizon. And with that, invariably, you see some old technologies combined with new technologies. If you would build a factory at this moment, you would build a connected factory, a factory where all data is gathered continuously from all devices in the factory. This factory will be driven by data, but it will also be operated by AI and by algorithms that are continuously learning to improve. And like Annette was saying as well, people are there to continuously improve and evolve. And that is also happening with AI algorithms at this moment. These factories are digital, they're paperless. But also, what is really important is that they are secure. Because what happens if you open up your factories, you introduce some new subjects. And factories are physical environments. So generally you see in a factory what's happening. And the big issue with security threats that are now happening is that they're virtual. So they're happening under the surface. And that's a new thing for a lot of factories. So people are scared of that. And with the geopolitical situation, I haven't spoken to a single manufacturer who wasn't talking about an increased level of security breaches, an increased level of cyber attacks. So these factories need to be ready for that. And then they're connected between OT and IT. And there's some big discussions going on at this moment, how close that connection should be. Should everything be in the cloud? Many people say yes, but how do you secure that? Should it be one environment between OT and IT? Many people have that wish, but it's not that sure. So that's why I really look forward to having a discussion with you as well. And Ian, maybe I may ask you to start off the discussion, being a leader in the chemical industry. I'm really intrigued how you are managing this and what your perspective is on what a factory of the future is. And also hear about your experience to operate a digital factory and realize the benefits of this digital factory while having also some of these challenges.
Yeah, thank you, Koen. Now, in order to achieve, let's say, when we have started something like 3 years ago, to achieve at the beginning classic goals, we have restructured our approach on this for OT, IT, security, and mobility on the field. We have restructured this in an approach which was transversal and agile. And what we were looking at the beginning, we were looking for reducing execution time from when we starting with an engineering department, sharing time, sharing data with suppliers up to the implementation in the field, and as well afterwards the inspection. We have also started looking for increased efficiency, improving operations. So pretty classical goals which we have started some 3 years ago. We have an interesting journey because meanwhile, and let's say this way, we were prepared. New challenges arised. So we had in 2020 the COVID crisis. Fortunately, we were let's say our basis much more solid. So within 3 weeks, we were able to have all of our employees who were able to do home office. They were equipped to do home office, and let's say to cope with the changes of the COVID crisis. And then again, a new surprise which we all had since beginning. Yeah, first signs were already coming. I would say Q4 last year, and high increase of cyber criminality. So big challenges for us. And once again, we think we're somehow ready. So even if we have I don't know, an increase of cyber attacks times 10,000 compared to former times, so far we are safe so far. So I think even if the old objectives and goals still remaining active, I think this approach, the approach, and I insist on these words, transversal and agile approach, helped us a lot to cope with new challenges during the last 3 years.
Thank you very much. So that's really a very inspiring view. So Natalie, can you give your perspective on some of these things that you're seeing?
Yes. If we have a step back regarding the global challenges, we discussed about that in the first panel regarding the attractiveness, because we know that the workforce is aging. It is something very difficult that all the industrials need to cope with. But by that way, we know that on top of being attractive for new joiners, new engineers, new operators, by transforming the shop floor and the global industrial park, we can say that it is also a question of keeping the knowledge, and we know that some breakdowns appears only once a decade, and we need to have the knowledge of how to provide the right solution and to cope with that. And we know that digital twins could be also a solution, and we need to equip for that. It is also, I may say, something due to the lack of attractiveness, but we need to cope with that. And also for the competitiveness, which is the second big challenge for the manufacturing. It is a question also of continuously reducing the time to market. We know that, and be able to have the best flow of the data through the collaborative platforms to break the silos would be a key enabler to cope with that, and to work more through an ecosystem approach. And the third is the proximity. We know that with the pandemic, it is a question of being able to produce more on a local area. That's clear. But it is also when we speak about proximity, it is a question of being able to join more IT, OT, and to provide the methods that are used through the digital approach for innovation for the OT part also, and to build up some new projects based on innovation for that part. So it is a geographical proximity, but also in terms of domains, we may say. And the last topic we discussed so largely about that, it is the sustainability part, which is the key challenge. We are in the VUCA world, we know that, and we need to cope with very short-term, sometimes decisions to cope with the situation, because we are facing up strong game changers. But all what we know about sustainability will be on the long-term effect. So it is. We know that for the industrial part, it is very, very difficult to take that decisions. And AI, data, and digital twins are key levers to help us to take the right decision for that.
Very good. Would you like to add some words to that to make the perspective complete, Jean-Louis?
I don't know. I couldn't agree more with Natalie about the four challenges that she just alluded to. Maybe one observation, Koen, that I'd like to share with you is that we have witnessed that those clients who deliver more value around those four challenges through digital, IoT, digital twins, all that you have just mentioned, Natalie, are the ones who consider those projects not as IT projects but as business ones. We really see a difference because they can rethink their operating models, their processes, even their incentives may change while implementing those tools and leveraging technology such as IoT or whatever we've just discussed. So just to emphasize on what Natalie just said, just wanted to add that to give a little bit of reality perspective on top of it.
Very good. So I think quite a nice perspective. So when I hear from Ian, the big thing is about transversal thinking and being agile to respond to these outside challenges that are coming to that factory. And somehow whilst you're a very big company and there are a lot of procedures in manufacturing to make things safe that are predictable, that are quality driven, you're still able to respond rather quickly. Can you maybe give us a few hints as to how you responded indeed to these security challenges with 10,000 times as many attacks? You've been able to somehow protect yourself from them. And we see quite some other companies that in the newspaper that were not able to cope with them. So can you share some insights with the public on that, maybe?
Yeah. We have different points of security on which we are on all very focused on. So we have physical security of the employees, which is number one. We have process security to take care of. We have protection of our intellectual property to take care as well. And finally, we have to take care for OT and IT security, so cyber security. So for the first one, the employees protection and process security, digitalization, of course, started already with automatization. Many decades before, digitalization is evident, it's helping a lot. And there we are continuing our initiatives, which you already started, like advanced process control, APC, and so on. And this is, on the one side, helping efficiency and productivity, and on the other side, much better and an increased control for safety. New, let's say, a new focus is, at least in terms of decades, it's also lasting some years, is a protection of our intellectual property, and the other one is cybersecurity. So these are initiatives which we are developing and I would say accelerating since three years now.
Yeah. And are there any particular things that you can share around how you protect your intellectual, what your approach is, how you protect that intellectual property in particular?
Yeah, what we have done is we have developed different levels of security. Okay, let me try to take an example. What we are sharing also between different suppliers, also for improving, we are sharing, let's say, technical designs. On some technical designs, we have intellectual property, let's say, which is on a high level. And so we have developed softwares with our partners in order to protect this. Then you can only access, let's say, the part for which you are working on and not the whole document. The whole document will have access to it when we will have, say, let's say, on a paper drawing. So by selecting a digital approach, we can be much more selective what we're sharing.
Very good. And we see that as well in our client base. And the thing is, nowadays, if you install new equipment, most equipment suppliers have access to part of that equipment because they want to help you in continuous maintenance and in continuous and in preventive or predictive maintenance. With that, they've got access to your data, and there's certain parts that you want to keep safe. Natalie, do you have any experience that you can share in this respect? Or?
So on my side, I'm fully because we work with Jan on a day-to-day basis, so we share all those topics. So we are still aligned, and So, but
Yeah, but
yes, we know that
yeah,
the very first challenge is definitely the security, and we shared also some use cases that we want to deal with Butashimi on those topics.
yeah. No, so we see that almost every company that every manufacturer there they have
Yeah,
their focus on their IP and that's but more and more is working in an ecosystem. So you're not alone anymore. That's also a part of the factory of the future. And then it's
yeah,
yeah being indeed safe on the own IP and at the same time open enough to still improve. And it's really important that you have a vision on that, on what you share and a good approach for that. So we've also, I didn't mention it myself, but I think my colleagues did. So part of the factory of the future that we see is, aside from this focus on more efficiency, we see that more and more manufacturers say they focus also on sustainability. So one of my, no, not one, many of the people that I spoke to said for the first time this year, sustainability is not no longer an internal drive only; it becomes an external drive at this moment, because there's a business model behind that. That even for some of our clients. So, what is your perspective on sustainability as being a key topic in manufacturing? Ian?
Kun, what I have listened to some previous presentation is that where we're trying more and more to have an embedded approach about sustainability. Now, let's say this way: we are a chemical plant. No, we are not the most green industry that you have on the world, but while using optimized approach, more digitalization, and I have even a very concrete example. We have changed our technology in 2019 while moving to a new technology of operating our plant. We have been able to reduce our carbon footprint by 15% with the same level of production. So what we're hoping is in the further years, by optimizing the new technology, let's say with much more hardware, but optimizing this with a digital approach that we can achieve over the next 5 years, this a little bit the same level of production. So
Yeah.
I think this once again, and it's a point of, let's say, a balanced approach, investing in software and IT combined, at least in our industry, combined with a hardware.
Yeah, and that is really weighing these things, and that is different from if you're a consultant. Sometimes life is easy because you can pick out this overarching topic and go for it. And now when you're in the COO position, you have to balance this against what your investors are asking, what your employees are asking. And maybe we didn't really prepare this question, but what we see in the Netherlands this week in the news was a big article in the Netherlands that for every 100 people who are looking for a job, there are 133 vacancies. So it's
Yeah.
really difficult for also manufacturers to find the right people, and 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 this is with this sustainability. So many of the young people they are quite versatile, and they're really they're really plea for doing things environmentally friendly. So how do you attract these young people to manufacturing?
I think more and more, not only young people, more and more people, especially after the different crises which we are went through, are looking for more sense what they're doing. So we are looking for having more sense on okay, what does it mean what I'm doing? And what we're trying to do, even, and once again, we're operating a chemical plant, but we have a real approach with concrete measures, concrete actions of moving forward and significantly reducing our carbon footprint and other emissions or pollutions. So I think
Yeah,
this can be quite motivating. So far, yeah, yeah, we start to feel the same what you mentioned, Kuhn. It seems to be a little bit more vacancies than people looking for jobs. But so far, okay, we're doing somehow okay so far.
very good. That's really good to hear. So, and this is also, I spoke to a team of university students, and I had to do a 1 minute master class, and this I did a big plea. I said, well, basically, if you want to make a real difference in environmental impact, then manufacturing is the place to be, because there are so many technologies coming up with which you can really do something about reduction of CO2. And if you reduce 15% in a factory like yours, that's really beneficial in the environment, because at the end of the day, we need plastic and we need your products. We still have cars, and so all of the applications that and if we can do that more environmentally friendly, I think that's a really motivating message to attract some people towards manufacturing as well. Jean-Louis, do you have any perspective on how you attract these people in manufacturing?
Well, I would really go on the same note as yours. As you said, there are huge opportunities, especially in this segment of industry, to make really good things. You were talking about energy savings and green gas emissions. We know, and we have implemented for some clients sensors to being able to optimize their energy usage, for example, or optimizing production cycles, but they can produce the same with less energy, just as Jon you just mentioned, or optimizing maintenance with predictive maintenance. And so the equipment stays longer in place, and then it's more sustainable. So there are lots of things which are really concrete. It's not greenwashing. It's absolutely concrete actions that we can take. And I mean, we are pretty attractive. I was the other day in within a forum with students, so that was good. I was the eldest guy in the room, which is more and more the case, unfortunately. And that was really reinvigorating to speak with those talented young people when they were asking us, "What are you doing? What are you doing for the planet?" And instead of telling them, I don't know, the usual things, I could speak concrete examples. And we've got quite a few CVs in the place, and we are trying to recruit them. But one thing is very true, back to what Jon said, is in the past, I think we were competing against our kind of usual suspects competitors for talents in the IT world. Now we are competing, or we are on, they are kind of scratching our toes. I mean the end clients, the manufacturers, because they are also looking for talents. They are looking for data analysts. They are looking for very specialized resources, which we're also looking for. So that's really interesting to think about. I think that as an ecosystem, as we are fighting for talents, it's not really fighting. It's trying to find the best balance, and how can we work together? And that's what we're trying to do. But that's a really exciting time to be there in this particular moment.
That's a great perspective. I like that. And another subject that we bring to that, and this may be where we started off with as well, is if you're thinking about a factory of the future, the first thing that comes to my mind is innovation, and how do you scale these innovations towards the factory of the future? Can you tell a little bit more about how you deal with innovations towards that factory of the future, Ian?
Yeah. For us, while moving on this journey, and of course, we are looking for innovation. I think we are convinced that the good approach is an agile approach. And while developing and the different software for protecting IP, what we have discovered is that this one we can use as well for mobility being safe and protected. So what I mean with this is now our engineers, if they want to do a work on the installation or maintenance or the inspection, instead of going there with a folder of technical designs, they're going with tablets on the field and having much quicker the different technical designs which are concerning on the point on when they will operate and execute the required work. And with this, we let's say we really moved forward with this innovation initiative. Now, of course, this is let's say as well a point of being prepared, thinking again a transversal point, because this we couldn't only achieve because we have just started a year ago a private 4G installation on our site. So
Yeah.
all the tablets are connected, but we can already see we are still in the, let's say, yeah, beta test phase. So we have only operating some 40 tablets for the moment, but we see already significant gain in execution time.
Very good. And how do you already see the first results? So because you're basically saying, well, we are still in the trial and or in the piloting phase, but do you already see the results of these kind of investments as well? Or
Yeah. So
what
so
kind of?
so we do, Koen. So we do, Koen. One of the bottlenecks in our different projects on the site on the company is the number of qualified personnel. So this is a bottleneck. So we only can move forward if these people are available. So what we have seen, because these are recurrent tasks which they're performing, we saw already some reduction. Let me be prudent, above 20% of execution time. I would not like to go further, but we already see some reduction in execution time of 20%. Maybe we may
Wow.
achieve better. It's too early.
And if that's a pilot, then you can't complain. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a simple exercise. You just go on the field and try to do some technical work with a folder with technical drawings, or you go there with a
Yeah.
tablet, which is very well sorted, and you immediately find what you need for doing the work. And once again, this is made under extreme secure environment because it's a chemical plant. So we have to take care
Yeah.
of all the different security steps.
Yeah. And that's always the real balance that you take there. So, and this sounds really good. Some really good results. Quite a few things that you've done, but I guess that there are quite a few people in this call who are still at the beginning of their digital journey. So, do you have any recommendations for those people who are yet to start on their digital journey? Maybe a bit about. How do you recommend them to start this, and how can they track for success?
In a nutshell, my recommendation is that they spend enough time that they achieve from the beginning, let's say, a large consensus of the goals, of the major goals which we're looking for. Second point is, and this is by the way the journey which we have started with a team of Jean-Louis and Nathalie some 3 years ago. And we spent a lot of time of defining in the first phase of defining the goals, the initial goals, the major goals. Second
Yeah,
point, and I think this, at least in our experience, this has been very successful, is spending a lot of time in preparation. Prepare, and prepare. And the last point is, even if you have this preparation, you prepare in order to be enabled to not to stick to it. So keep the
yeah,
agility.
Yeah, keep being flexible. Yeah?
And one of the points, and I was looking, and I like this very much in the introduction where we had Helena working with scenarios. This is what we're also doing. Preparation, but then when you have preparation, you have different scenarios ready, which allows you really to be agile.
Really good. Yeah. So that's some really good advice, I think. And so I hear consensus, defend, determine what the major steps are and what the goals are. Prepare, and stay agile. That's a really good thing. With that, it might be a good moment to open up the audience for some questions. I hope that I'm getting some help with. Are there any questions from the audience? And here is the beauty of an online meeting, because I thought I would be getting some of the questions in my screen now, but I do not see them. So if there are no questions coming in from the audience, then I can also go for a backup question. And maybe that's for either Nathalie or Jean-Louis, because we can all say what is going really well in these things. I really like the story. Are there any things that you may be doing different in hindsight now than in the way that you started this journey together? That's a difficult question, I think, but it would be my first project where I would not have any learnings. Where I say, well, this is something I learned. That's something I would do differently in the next time.
I would say yes. Really, we said that we need to prepare, and I would say that maybe we should also train people to what are finally the innovation methods, what digital providers on the floor, and to help to open-minded to all the people that the managers who will be involved in the transformation from the plant. You know, if they can better be trained on what are the abilities of all the methods from the digital part, they may open to new scenarios, and it is something that's very important. We think that we should be a little bit different on that, to better train on how far agile um, design thinking innovation can provide on the floor. We should accelerate a little bit more.
Agree, totally agree. I think the agile journey is really what has changed. I mean, in the past, you were like implementing like huge systems always in the same way before the real digitization even exists, and we were used to like a kind of waterfall projects, and we were pretty good at that. And there was an acceleration, a tremendous acceleration in the last few years around using agility, and not as a buzzword, but in real terms. And I think one of the key takeaway, as you also alluded to, Jon, is this ability to try things. And maybe if you have to fail fast, and don't fall into this fallacy that of the sunk costs, and try always to push on things which do not work. If something doesn't work, yes, that's life. Move to next and pivot to something else. I think that's really the key difference, is to accept to fail, to do something which eventually works.
Yeah.
Now, Jean-Louis, may I react on this? I think what we have done was much more positive than this. We have accepted to move forward while we had uncertainty. and then some points doesn't work. But of course, this is a way how you have to handle with a much more uncertain environment. And so far, I would say the successes are much bigger than the things which didn't give any result. It's a
So true.
proportion. It's really really in our favor.
That is
Can't go against what you
really,
said, Jan.
so this is really good, and I know I caught you a bit off guard with this question. So, but I think that is also the open and honest discussion, and I think at the end of the day, that is where we all learn from, and that's why we're
Mhm.
here today, to benefit from that. So, thank you for sharing that so openly with us, and I think when I then hear that you said, well, the successes are much bigger than the difficulties, and we accepted that the situations occurred. I think that is a really good example of how to do this. With that, we are approaching the end of this discussion. Maybe I can ask you to basically all three think of one key message that you would like to give to the audience about what you would be doing this Monday or tomorrow when you get back in the office. What were the key learnings that maybe we now take away, but that you would like to give to the audience? Who can I give the word first?
Should I react first? One of the first points is, I think this is unfortunately the next future. That the future will be much more uncertain. Accept to move forward in an uncertain context, and this may require a different approach to what we have been used during past decades. Accept approximation, and once again, be prepared. Be prepared for different scenarios.
Really good. That is really some great learning. Anything, Nathalie or Jean-Louis, that you would like to add to this really strong rounding statement?
And maybe it would be not for the short term, but we spoke about the intellectual property, and we know that how far we need to protect it, and it's very something very key and very central for all the decision. But maybe we need to also to take a step back regarding how to deal with that. We know that all the if we take if we have a look on the IT and the software editors, we know that at the beginning it was something that they were protecting a lot, and now it is fully open. The change really didn't mind. Maybe we need to move forward. We do not what will be the change for the next months and years regarding that, but maybe we need to deal with it in a different way, as we know we will work through ecosystem, very open ecosystem, and we need to take the right approach on that. I haven't got the solution right now, but we need to maybe to open our mind and to be more agile on this topic of the intellectual property, because I think it will not ease the development maybe for the manufacturer if we are too strict on that.
Yeah, that's a real nice thing to end with, also from our perspective. And I look forward to that journey and working together with you on really responding to all of these changes, and that's something that motivates me. So in that case, in that respect, I might not be a real manufacturing person, because people in manufacturing always like stability, but these changes make it a challenge, and coming up with the right answer, that's really good. I learned a lot from you. Be prepared, accept some changes, but also some things on the journey that you wish for clients to follow. So thank you very much for this, for me at least, a very inspiring interview, and I hope that the audience thinks the same. Ian Russo, thanks for making so much time to prepare this and discuss this. Natalie, thanks for organizing this together with Jean-Louis. It was a great discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.